So is it streamed or how it is? Other people?
All right, we're waiting for Kirby. He had a power outage at his house, and so he's trying to see if we can get his hotspot working somewhere else. If not, he's going to join us by phone.
Oh, okay.
So we'll give him a few moments.
It's always good to have a plan B. I mean,
Okay, so we're going to go on and get started. I can begin with the introductions, and hopefully that may give a second for Kirby to join us. In just a little housekeeping, again, thank you for those who were able to join the call. We will be recording this panel discussion and uploading it after we're done today, so that those who are not able to join us or engage will be able to watch this formative discussion around clean water. But for those of you who have made time and space to join us, we appreciate your involvement and participation. Remember to please keep your audio muted until you are able to speak or directed to speak. And then for those of you with us, if you would like to ask a question to the panelists, feel free to drop it in the chat. When we get a little bit of time to do that, I will pull a few questions from the chat room. So again, feel free to offer it, your questions there. So real quickly, just want to do a quick audio check. Dr. Fairs, do you mind unmuting, making sure we can hear you?
yes. Do you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, we can. Thank you. And then Jordan, do you mind unmuting so we can hear you?
Yes, good morning.
Wonderful. All right, so let's get started. I am your moderator for this event. I am Dr. Marquis Gatewood. Part of my role at Prairie View University is I am the executive director for the residential college. And most importantly, I oversee not only the new residential college initiative that was launched with Phase 9 or University View 2, but I also oversee housing and residence life, which includes the commuter experience, off-campus housing, and FYE, which I'm an interim director for. So I do it all. But again, I'm your moderator for this conversation about clean water, which is one of the 15 global challenges that have been identified by the Millennium Project. And if you are not aware of that, definitely I hope that you'll go back and search and learn more about that, as it seeks to address a number of global issues to create greater stability and harmony across our world. Today on the panel, we have two members at least, and hopefully the third will join us a little bit later. And they will have a moment after I finish doing this brief introduction to share a little bit about themselves and as it relates to the clean water conversation. So first, Prairie View's very own, I am pleased to welcome Dr. Ali Fairs, Endowed Professor and Chair here, of course, at our beloved Prairie View. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Fairs. And then we have Jordan Griebner, who is with Living Water International, which is an organization that works across the world to provide access to clean water. So we are thankful to have her with us as well. And then hopefully a little bit later, we will have Kirby Trapolino, who is the founder and director for Peace Gospel International, and She Has Hope. He's had some technical difficulties, so hopefully he'll join us a little bit later. So with that, first question to the panelists is please take a moment to introduce yourself and talk about either your organization or your scope of work as it pertains to clean water. And can we have maybe Dr. Fairs start us off, if that's okay?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Gatewood, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about a topic that is dear to myself. I've been in this area for quite some time, so I like to talk about this topic. I'm Ali Fairs, as you mentioned. I'm endowed chair for water security, water, food, energy nexus. This is a new position that I started on September 1st. I work in the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences, and we have water in general. We have a water team that includes myself and other colleagues. And we're interested in different aspects of water security, as I mentioned, and also the connection between food, water, and energy, because we cannot talk about food security without talking about water security, and also energy security without talking about water. So with that, I will, yeah, that's a brief introduction of who am I and what I'm doing.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fairs. And then Jordan?
Sure. Yes, good morning. My name is Jordan, and I am with Living Water International. We are a faith-based organization. We operate in about 20 countries globally around the world, and we seek to provide water for life in Jesus' name is our tagline. So we work with communities to provide them access to clean water, and we also are focused on hygiene and sanitation work as well to go along with the clean water that we provide. So that's sort of our what we're doing around the world.
All right, thank you. So first question, just to get the conversation started, why does clean water matter? Why should we care and be concerned about that being an issue that we're going to take up space in International Week to discuss? And any of the panelists can join in.
I think if you want, I can share some of what I have. You hear me, right? Okay, good. Well, let me talk about water as it relates to Texas, for instance, and from that to try to answer your question. I think Texas is home of 14 major rivers, over 100 lakes, 23 aquifers, and 50% of Texas fresh water comes from groundwater. This water is used for domestic, municipal, industrial, and agricultural purposes. 55% of Texans rely on groundwater for their drinking water, and 96% of Texans are provided with water that meets or exceeds primary drinking water requirement. So basically, without water, you cannot talk about economy. Without clean water, you cannot talk about health. You cannot talk about food security. So everything is related to water, what we do. Without water, we cannot talk about that. So in fact, Texas is supposed to invest $263 billion in water projects from here to 2060 to assure that there is water for the 1,200 people are coming into Texas every single day, either as a natural growth of the population. Half of the 1,200 are coming from others, from the other states in the US or from overseas, move into Texas every single day. So in order for Texas to continue its economical growth, to continue its quality of life as we know it, we need to take care of water, both in quantity and quality.
Thank
I
you.
think I'll stop here.
Thank you. Jordan, would you like to address that question as well?
Yeah, I think Dr. Ferris did a great job of explaining there are 785 million people around the world that lack access to basic drinking water. And I think, you know, in the United States, it's hard for us to wrap our minds around that because you can walk 5 feet to any faucet in your bathroom, your kitchen sink. I mean, we have such easy access to clean water, and we don't even think about the quality of water that we're drinking. But that's not the reality for so many millions of people around the world. And like you mentioned, you know, water is really the foundation of life and of success, and it affects so many aspects of our world. So it affects your health. It's a time issue in a lot of these countries. Women and children spend hours every day walking to the nearest river or their nearest water source to collect water. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of effort to carry that water. And so it really affects so many aspects of life. It affects education. When kids are walking to get water, they spend less time in school. When they're sick because of the water they're drinking is not safe, they can't go to school. So really the steps of development start with clean water and having an accessible point of safe drinking water.
Thank you. And one of the things for those on the call that I would like to share, I pulled up some facts from the World Health Organization just as it relates to access to water. And some of this is pretty astounding. So I guess positive, about 5.3 billion people on the planet actually use or have access to services or things that allow them to have clean and safe water to drink. So it's located, you can pull it out of the tap. They have some type of process to clean water, right? So they're not drinking water that's contaminated. 6.8 billion people at least have some type of basic service or access to decent or improved condition drinking water or drinking water source. And that even means that if they've got to walk about 30 minutes to get water, means that they have access to clean water, which I cannot imagine having to walk 30 minutes one way to get water. I would not want to do that. And then as Jordan pointed out, over about 780 million people lack basic access to drink or clean water, I'm sorry. And I think it says here 144 million are actually dependent on a surface water source. Globally, 2 billion people drink water that is contaminated with human waste. I think what's astonishing is we lose about 485,000 people from water-related deaths, specifically diarrhea. So amazing to kind of see those numbers out there. And then the other part that it points out is that in a number of developing countries and nations, 22% of their healthcare facilities don't have access to water, which, as we're all fighting COVID, this pandemic, that is scary when you put that into context. And then 21% has no sanitation none so all, there we go. And then 22% have no adequate way to remove waste. So obviously that's what contaminates the water and then ultimately harms or kills or makes people very sick. So that is just astonishing. I don't know, Jordan, Dr. Fairs, anything that you want to chime in? I mean, does those numbers seem accurate? Those are from 2017, but is that still true today?
Well, it is. I mean, I think, as you mentioned, even in the beginning of your topic, water security and accessibility of water, both in quantity and quality, is one of the main challenges of the global population. And it's one of the 15 global challenges of the UN. So, and if you, as I mentioned, if you include to it food security, then, and if you include to it energy security, clean and reliable energy for people, and you include to it health, you can see water, although it's on one of the 15th, but it's also the other are related to it, because you cannot talk about health, you cannot talk about food and other without talking about water. So these are really water touches all of our aspects of life.
And thank you, Dr. Fairs. And if we can take a pause for 1 second, I see our third panelist and one of my really good friends, Kirby Trapolino, has been able to join us. So I want to give him a few moments to introduce himself. And again, Kirby, if you want to talk a little bit about your work and how it relates to clean water, we want to give you a few minutes to do that. And welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I felt like I was out at one of my project sites this morning. My power went out and then my hotspot wasn't working. But yeah, I spend a lot of time in rural areas in Africa and Asia. I have been doing this work, and first of all, it's lovely to see all of your faces today. Thank you for being here. Just honored. Thank you, Marquis, for having me. So I'm the founder and director of an organization called She Has Hope, and we have been working with trafficking survivors and orphans since 1993. I took a trip to India, spent a summer in India in 1993 during my university days, and it really changed my life forever. You know, just growing up in the United States and, you know, realizing as a 20-year-old going to India and spending time in some rural areas there, like, just my mind was blown as to all the things that I had taken for granted my whole life. You know, just the ability to walk over to my sink right now and, you know, turn the faucet and water comes out. It's just incredible what we have. And I think as a young American visiting the developing world in those years, it was just became apparent to me how vital water is and how much time people, a great number of people, millions, if not billions of people, spend a considerable part of their day and start their day thinking, okay, where is my daily water going to come from? And so, you know, we've seen just such a radical change in the projects where we have been able to drill clean water wells in Uganda and India. We also work in Myanmar and Nepal and in places in the Philippines, where you see, like, for example, in the Payatas colony, I call it the Payatas landfill scavengers colony in Manila, where you have an entire you know, cottage industry gathered around the base of this mountain of trash, just, you know, sifting through the recyclables. And you see kids who are, you know, with flip-flops in kind of the drainage runoff. And I'm also a photographer. I was very, it's been very, I don't know how to say, fulfilling to see some of my photos be able to tell the stories in some of the UN campaigns around child labor and clean water and human trafficking. And, you know, for me, it's like, it's almost easier, and I'm not prepared this morning to give you a slideshow or anything like that. But, you know, just, I think a lot of times the visuals can tell such a deep story as to the importance of water. We just see, you know, there's so much that is unlocked when you can drill a water well. Like, for example, on our, and we work extensively in the Mayuge district in Uganda, which is on the in the eastern side of the country near the Kenya border, and it's just fascinating and amazing and such a joyful sight to see all of these kids gathered at the well, and you know, the fact that they don't have to walk another couple of miles further to get their water, and just what a fundamental change that makes, and that just unlocks so many more opportunities for them, that they don't have to spend so much time seeking water. And in a lot of the cases, you know, they're just, from a lack of education, they think, well, I'll just take a shortcut today. I'll just get my water from the, you know, the shores of Lake Victoria, and just, you know, the domino effect that happens from the illnesses, as you guys, I'm sure, are well aware of, just all of the illnesses that are waterborne. So if we can get to that root, we have found, because we run 9 different schools and education centers across Asia and Africa. We have a boarding school in the Mayuge district, in a boarding high school in the Mayuge district of Uganda, where we have 350 students, and about 250 of those students are from families that can actually afford to pay a modest tuition that offsets the tuition and the expenses for about 100 of the students who are on our campus. And just the fact that they have access to clean water puts them way ahead of so many other children in Uganda. So, Marquis, are we doing any kind of Q&A? I feel bad kind of just, you know, monologuing here.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, I kind of jumped in without knowing exactly what the vibe has been as we get in.
No worries. So I have a few more questions to ask the panelists.
Okay.
You've actually pointed into one that I wanted us to talk about, which I know the answer to part of it, but it obviously is to help inspire good conversation. But are we currently doing enough to address the water crisis, right? What's working, and even more so, as I know, Kirby, you've been in the field, Jordan, I know, as y'all go out and help with projects, and then Dr. Ferris, as you continue to do your resource and support a number of initiatives and organizations, what are the challenges, right? What, you know, is it political? Is it, you know, equipment to be able to drill? Like, what are the challenges that also hinder our ability to provide clean water globally? And anyone can take it if you're ready. I see Dr. Ferris leaned in a little bit, so I don't know if you want to start us off, Dr. Ferris.
Okay. Well, thank you. I guess if we look at the challenges that we are facing, and we enumerated a few of them before, then we know we can gauge our progress and how are we doing on that one. So if you look that, for example, 90% of the natural disaster that we see in every single year are related, are weather related basically to floods or droughts or a combination. So are we doing enough on that one? I think it's that's something that It's even whatever we're doing with the climate change and extreme events. So these are becoming even more and more work is needed in that area. So if you look at, for example, that energy, for example, 70% of the water that is used in industry are energy based. Are we using that energy to find alternative source, to find ways of efficiency using the water? If you look, for example, that 75% of all industrial water withdrawals are used for energy production. So it's really, the other thing is what are we doing with the water, wastewater treatments? In many countries around the world, still raw sewage is being disposed of into fresh waters and makes those water unusable. So these are at least a few of the challenges that are really facing humanities that we need to, we have been making progress, but there is still more to come. Because if we're gonna double the population, 50% increase of the population by 2070, where that water is gonna come from to meet the needs of those incoming people? And also the quality of life of the 2 billion will be much, entering the middle class, they will have more needs for water. So I think the enormity of the challenges, I mean, are there, but I'll tell you there have been progress, technology. Right now you talk about turning water from, basically from waste to tap. It's becoming the technology is there, alternative source, reuse of water, multi-uses instead of single use. All these progresses have been made, but we still need to make more to meet our goals, which basically having access. Every single human being has access, right to have adequate, clean, available water for their needs.
Thank you, Dr. Ferris. Jordan, Kirby, any one of you want to get in on this?
Sure. You know, I learned about the water crisis probably 10 years ago. And at that point, over 1 billion people lacked access to clean water. And now, like we mentioned, it's still 785 million people, but that number is going down. So are we doing something? Yes. Are we doing enough? Is there more that we can be doing? Yes, absolutely. And I think probably the biggest challenge for Living Water and for many, you know, organizations that are doing drilling work is just having the resources to be able to do so. Having people donate for the water wells or donate equipment. You know, we need drill rigs, trucks, all of that kind of thing. But and right now, especially with COVID, we're also seeing with such strict shutdowns and curfews in the countries we work, our staff are unable to drill. So it's really challenging right now, where clean water is so important in this time for hand washing and for health, that it's hard for our teams to get out there and work when countries are so shut down because of COVID. So that's a big challenge we're facing right now.
Yeah, I'll chime in on that as well. I mean, you know, I'm no PhD, but I've been in the trenches, and I've been, you know, doing this for 27 years. And, you know, when I walk through the slums of Kampala or the, you know, just the squatters colonies of Manila and Kathmandu and these places, and I just literally, I go, how is this possible that this is happening in our world? And you know, just to see kids drinking, we expanded to try our best to set up a little primary school in a very rural area of Uganda called Myrinia, tiny little town, no school. We didn't have the resources. We said if we have to just meet under a tree with a chalkboard, let's just do something. And, you know, fortunately we've been able to build a school there. But when I made my first visit there, the school teachers were serving water that was murky, and it just dawned on me, like, this is just normal for a huge part of our world. And in my thing is more of a rally cry to say, okay, wait a second, this is the reality of our world. Millions, billions of people struggle to find clean water every day. And so my thing is, and it goes hand in hand with the human trafficking response, is it's got to be a global awareness and a wake up to, hey, we're on this tiny blue orb we call planet Earth. We're all fellow passengers. Yeah, we have, our own problems right here. And I get over the years, well, we've got so many problems right here in our backyard, brother. Why are you so banging the gong on this thing going over on the other side of the world? Well, we're all interconnected, y'all. It's a ripple effect, and we're all in this together. And that's always my passionate plea, is just like, we've all got to be global citizens right now, because it all comes back. It all comes back together. And so that's more than, being able to, I love statistics. I love learning about statistics and hearing about statistics, but I'm not much of one to be able to rattle off a bunch of statistics. But so maybe I bring that as a panelist to just be the passionate one to say, we've really got to do something, because I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen firsthand how revolutionary, how radical a change just a water well can bring to a community. It's phenomenal.
Thank y'all. And again, I think no one's going to walk away and not say that they don't hear the passion in each of our panelists' voices as they're
Absolutely
tackling this issue from a number of different angles. If we can shift just briefly, I will share with those on the call is that, I also want to put the water challenges here in our own country in this conversation as well. And there was an article, maybe I remember reading in US Today, maybe in 2018, that said maybe about 45 million Americans at some point are drinking water that's unsafe, and obviously when you back that up globally, we're not doing so bad. But I think what's shocking is that we're even having that conversation in a country that is supposed to have it together for the most part. And I think if I remember correctly, the article talked about that it's everywhere from rural areas. I think Dr. Ferris pointed to that a little bit, with rural areas to even places in certain boroughs within New York City that has issues with water. And then our very own, not very own, but I think most of us on this call were aware of the Flint, Michigan water crisis there. And so just interested in your thoughts, Dr. Ferris, maybe you can start us off speaking to that, and just, even how do we make sense of those water challenges here in our own country?
I think this is great. I guess those challenges are real, and as you mentioned, they are really spatially distributed, so they are not even. So there are some areas that needs more attention, or they have more acute a problem of water than others. I just want to point out that we do have some water challenges, and I'm going to talk about the water quality. But before that, I would like to zoom into what are the challenges here for Texas, for instance. In order to continue, Texas to continue its economic growth and prosperity, a healthy supply of water, well-trained workforce through existing water training program is needed. So as a university, there is a strong need for more trained people who know how to deal with water, more so now than ever. Many requires new training programs to meet challenges, skilled required, and high demand. So even the existing workforce that is in water right now needs a new training. We also, some of the main service challenge facing water industry workforce here in Texas and the US are increased complexity of work environment, new advanced technology, facilities, regulations, new processes, etc. So these, we need to train these people in those technology. Retirement of highly qualified personnel. We have lots of retirement, baby boomers who are retiring, who used to take care of our water infrastructure, water distribution system, etc., that we need to replace. A shrinking pool of readily available technically skilled personnel. We do have, this is a serious problem that we really, is a key. So I think you mentioned about, and let's talk about the water quality. I think arsenic, for example, is a real problem facing humanity. And I edited a book last year, early this year, called Arsenic Water Resources with Springer. And it's a part of, we dealt with the arsenic problem, especially in the area of Indian subcontinent there, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Arsenic is a very, very serious problem that is really causing the death of millions of people on those parts of the world. And I think Flint, Michigan case is a good example of one resources or one people who are, lack the skills or of managing water resources can make fatal the mistakes. So I think that's a typical example, that is textbook example of one, we need people who really understand water resources and how to handle them and how to deal them to make the best decision. That if they don't, then health of people, it will be in question and so on. So that's a good example of what a local problem can, when I say local, I mean at least at Michigan level, is also a very serious problem across the globe. So when we deal with arsenic in Flint and finding a solution to it, we are also helping in finding a solution to that water across the globe. And the technology that the US can provide, or can, the knowledge how, can be also used to save millions of people across the globe. So I think, and you can see the interconnectedness here between what we can say local and global. It's really there.
Thank you. Jordan, Kirby, any thoughts? I know Dr. Ferris crushed it, so I don't know if you want to go behind.
hard to follow. No, I think there's so many layers to, resistance in terms of what our field directors deal with. I'll echo what Jordan said. We've got funding waiting for, we have funding in place. We've had it in place for several months to get that water well out to that new school that I spoke of, and it's been held up because of, there's just so many, you've got so many layers of government corruption and control, and the very complex nature of the response to the pandemic and lockdowns and everything else. It's just there's just a lot going on. But I think the more that we stay focused on the problem and raising awareness too. I saw, one of the questions in the chat seemed to, want to know, like, what other ways can we get involved? And I think awareness is a big one. And in terms of the United States, it's the same. I mean, I'm one who, we live in a real, actual, practical world. I realize if you haven't noticed, I'm an idealist. But to me, an ideal world is one where we can stop thinking so much about borders, and we're all in this together. And so the problems that we see abroad are also problems right here in the United States. And I think that's important to keep in mind. So it's a good question. Marquis. I think it's extremely important for just regulatory reform in terms of how do we have third parties testing. Even there was a recent highly publicized case of bottled water found in Whole Foods locations in California that had some degree of impurities that were very shocking. So I mean, we can't think that we're safe just because we're here in the States. So it's obviously very it's something that unfortunately clean water issues get pushed to the side, but it's fundamental. I mean, it's just like you think about it, it's like water is fundamental to life, so it's got to be something that we keep in the forefront of the conversation.
Yeah, I forget and I don't know for those who, and maybe some of the students on the call are part of STEM, but I think we can go so many days without food, but only so many days without water, right? Before we lose everything. So I think water is we don't have very few days to make it without water.
Yeah, from watching Bear Grylls, I think it's something like 36 hours. That's what I remember from the survival show.
Awesome. Thank you, Kirby. Jordan, Dr. Fairs, anything else y'all want to jump in?
Well, let me share, let me share my screen here. You see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a book series that I have with Springer on advances in water security. The first book is about emerging issues in groundwater resources. We talk about all these pharmaceutical, all these new issues of groundwater. We have, as I mentioned, one of the books is, was about arsenic in water. And it's a great book that I think deals with the issue of, of arsenic in water resources. So the other thing that I want to share is like at PVAMU University, we just started a new degree program that we approved by our campus here, and one is going in the process of being approved by Texas A&M system. It's about natural resources, bachelor and master's degree, where hopefully we will be training leaders in water resources and natural resources in general, but specifically with water, where we have bachelor's and master's students who will be trained in this program. And one of the area of interest to us is water. So we will hopefully we'll be training workforce or future leader in the area of water through this program. Hopefully this is something that we can contribute as an institution in addressing the water needs by providing the people who really have the technical background and expertise to handle these valuable resources.
Thank you, Dr. Fairs. Jordan, how can students get involved?
So, I mean, there are so many ways to get involved with clean water projects. And I think, Kirby, you brought up a good point of just being an advocate. A lot of people in the United States just don't know that there's a water crisis globally. And so just being able to share that with your family, your friends, whoever it is, to share that information about the water crisis and get people to think about it and to care about it, I think is a huge one. So, and then there are so many ways to get involved. There's fundraising, there's, at Living Water, we do mission trips, although we are on pause right now because of COVID and safety of traveling. But, down the road, we're hoping to resume our trips program, and you can go and be a part of actually drilling a well yourself and see the difference of a community going from not having a safe water source to having a well with clean water. So there are many, many ways to get involved, and it just takes creativity to find out what works for you and how you can be involved.
Thank you, Jordan. So what I will say is I do have maybe one or two questions, but I'm going to hold on those because I think the way the discussion has gone, I think this is pretty good. But those on the call, feel free if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question. I would ask, introduce yourself just so the panel knows who you are, maybe even share if you're a student or faculty member or staff member here at Prairie View. But I'm going to open it up. Feel free to unmute and ask the panelists a question.
Hi, everyone. My name is Agatha. I am a student. So I'm not asking any question. I just want to make a contribution to the second question, which was, are we doing enough? Kirby spoke very dearly to my heart because I have been involved, in volunteering for UNICEF, in providing clean water for very rural areas. I knew the experience was worth every second. I think I wrote it there. Now, I don't think, although we're working, but I don't think we're really doing enough. I'll talk about my place. I think the problem here is the government is really doing nothing. So most times you find non-governmental agencies, providing clean water for us. I think the government has to step in. I'm speaking about Nigeria specifically. The government has to step in to provide clean water. Mr. Kirby said something about being served murky water. The truth is, these people don't know what clean water is. They don't even have an idea of what clean water is like. They've been living, drinking murky water, and that's what it is for them. So when they get to taste what clean water is, it's like you're giving them life. You understand? It's like you're providing life to people. So I think the government also has to step in and not just wait for non-governmental organizations like Living Water, like UNICEF, UN, to provide clean water. There's a lot going on. There are so many people who do not have access to clean water. They don't even know what clean water is. And there's also the case of open defecation, especially largely in Africa. Open defecation, people defecate where there's water, and that water is their source of, living. So if clean water can be provided, it goes a long way, just like Jordan said, to reduce the time kids spend in going to streams or rivers to fetch water. That time can be spent in classroom, and then they can be more productive. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, great, Agatha. Thank you for your comments. It's wonderful. I think sanitation and the building of pit latrines and those kind of things absolutely go hand in hand. Thank you for bringing up the point.
Dr. Gatewood, I'd like to share some of what Prairie View A&M University students have been doing in this area. So I would like to, if you allow me to share with you this. Our students have been participating in this Irrigation Foundation E3 Student Award Program. The Irrigation Association every year selects like 20 students to participate in a week-long program where they get trained on irrigation management, how to deal with irrigation. So Prairie View A&M University have been always, this is competitive basis. So these students you see in the background are from major land grant institutions, Texas A&M, Florida, all the land grant programs. So you can see Prairie View have been participating in this irrigation award. This year, 10 students participated and sent their application, and 4 of them were winners, and they will be participating in this program. So I think this is a great opportunity. I would like to recognize these students who are part of my class, Fundamental of Agricultural Engineering. So, and they will be participating in this program. I would like also to mention that we do have an opportunity to train students on on-site waste management, how to really treat wastewater. This is a program that we have it with Texas A&M. It's called Reuse Water Quality Research Extension Experience for undergraduate. So you go, and I'll give you an example of, since I have some student here, so I'll introduce the program to them. So basically it's hands-on learning experience in reuse water quality, exposure to career and agriculture, and also a pathway to graduate school. And it's a joint program between College Station and Prairie View. These are the colleagues from Prairie View, myself and Dr. Awal, and these are our colleagues from Texas A&M. The students will participate in May 31st to June 2nd. It's a 5 weeks program, and these are where they have to apply by December 14th. And basically it's a simple requirement, a one-page essay, copy of resume, and so on. And what they will get 2,500 stipend for these 5-week program, on-campus housing free in College Station, meal allowance for them, and also they go for a conference where we have to pay, we pay for them. So that's the eligibility, being a US citizen or permanent resident and university student, etc. So these are students that participated in this program 3 years ago. They have hands-on experience, they sample, they analyze, they do lots of good things, and they also present their work in national conferences. Like this is one of their posters they presented. So this is an opportunity, and I encourage the students who are here on this call or the faculty who have a student who are interested in this to really let them know about this opportunity, that we can train our student and how to deal with wastewater and how to basically have this experience and being able to make a difference in this area. Thank you for this opportunity to explore this.
That's amazing. I had no clue that something like this was happening within the system or specifically with Prairie View being involved. Thank you so much. I see our own Miss Evie Myers, who's the executive director over, I don't know what the official,
international programs.
International programs, but you have a bigger portfolio than just that. But Miss Evie Myers asked, how do we donate?
So I can share one of the initiatives we have at Living Water specific to colleges is a program called the 10 Days. And it's actually happening right now. So it's 10 days in November where we challenge students to give up all non-water beverages. So give up your morning coffee, you know, afternoon, whatever, pick-me-ups. And the point is to take that money that you would have spent on coffee or whatever other beverages and donate it for clean water. So if you're interested in that, it's a college program that we have at, I think, over 30 campuses right now. It's something that I did when I was in college, and we just raised money and awareness on campus. So I'll share the link to Living Water's website where you can learn more about that and other initiatives that we're doing and ways to donate and fundraise.
Does it, Jordan, now, does it have to be coffee? Coffee's made with water, right? So, I mean,
yeah.
That's
point
tough.
Two is to kind of, it's a personal challenge, right? It's a way of kind of being uncomfortable. I'm suffering from headaches with, you know, caffeine withdrawal. So it's a way of kind of putting yourself in a sacrificial position of, I'm going to give up these things that are of comfort to me and think about the people around the world that are sick every day because of the water that they're drinking. So it's a small way to kind of step into their shoes and really get yourself in the mindset of thinking about our brothers and sisters around the world that don't have access to clean water. So
Thank you, Jordan. And I just want to highlight, Jordan got Dr. Gatewood all the way together with his comment. So, and did it so graciously. I'll give up my coffee. So listen, we have about 5 minutes left. What I will tell those of you on the call, again, this is being recorded. We look forward to sharing it later. We ask that you share it with your friends, your communities, your family, your loved ones, because as we said, awareness is absolutely important. And then do not leave the group without grabbing all the links and additional information that's been provided in the chat. Some great resources that you can follow up with and continue the engagement of clean water and the global challenges that it brings. So last 5 minutes, I'll open it up. Panelists, feel free to offer closing thoughts. And then if we do still have a few moments, again, I'll allow one of our participants or one of the other people on the call to also add their closing thoughts.
I'll just add something. Oh no, Evie, do you need to?
No, I was just going to say on behalf of Prairie View, this has just been a wonderful presentation, and I just thank all of you. And I could just see the synergy. I think with our new endowed professor, Dr. Ferris, working with students with water, getting connected with Jordan and Kirby's group, I think that there's synergy, and I think our students would really do that. I think they would give up and donate to something like this. So I just think that the 3 of you or 4 of you, we need to keep this conversation going and give our students not only an opportunity to participate with the Texas A&M system, but also an opportunity to deny themselves and to collect money, and let's help those that are around the world. So I just wanted to thank all of you. This has just been a wonderful presentation, and thank you very much. And I'll be quiet, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll give a little, maybe I can inspire some young students in terms of an awareness style campaign. So I've done, I've endeavored in my effort to try to personally identify with the struggles of the poor, of the global poor, and with other issues in terms of food scarcity and economics. I will take $30 cash and go down to the budget grocery store and buy 30 days worth of food with $30. And then I have a blog at 30d.ch. I'll put it in the chat, where I endeavor to live off of these this $1 a day, and it's actually quite amazing what you can do when you go to Fiesta here in my neighborhood and just get the staples. But I would just try to inspire, maybe there's a young student activist out there for a positive way. I think a lot of times we can kind of try to make a lot of noise about awareness, but when we can put our own passion into it, and we can say, hey, I'm willing to take this kind of challenge like Jordan's talking about. But one I've always, I did another challenge where I did 30 days on $30 barefoot to try to empathize with another aspect of the fact that there are millions of children who don't, and people in the world who don't have food, don't have shoes. So my next one that I haven't had the courage to do yet, but like find a neighbor who has a spigot outside their house and take your 2.5 or 5 gallon jerry can and go down 2 miles or a mile, or choose your distance, fill up your jerry can with water, carry it on your shoulder back to your house, do everything with that jerry can of water. You're washing, you're drinking. That's what about, 1 billion people on our planet are doing every day, and then chronicle it, blog it. So because people aren't going to get into a cause, they're not going to actually get aware until it's somebody they can relate to. So if it's your sphere, your peers going, whoa, she's doing what and what, and because it dawned on me as I've done these challenges, like how much empathy there becomes, because we can't empathize with somebody in a faraway community, but we can empathize with one of our peers and they can share with us. So something to be possibly inspired by.
And Kirby, I will tell everyone on the call again, Kirby and I are really good friends, and he absolutely commits and does that. And I am amazed every year when he takes that on. So I don't know if I'm there with you yet, Kirby, but maybe I can get there later. All right, any other, Jordan, closing thoughts? Dr. Ferris, closing thoughts? We've got 1 minute, well, barely 1 minute.
I think I would like to mention that we have to have this being aware of water resource, being a stewardship of the natural resources we have, is a way of life. We have to include it. It's not only during period of time, but a way that we're gonna commit to it, that we're gonna be responsible on water resources. It's not ours, it's for everybody. So we have to be responsible on using them and making sure that we only take what we need. We don't overuse them. We try to be advocate for water use, advocate for protecting these resources. And I think this is something that we have to teach it ourselves and teach it to our kids, and a way of life. And that's what I can say.
That's great. Thank you all for being here and for listening. And it's an honor to share with you about the work that we're doing. So thank you.
All right, thank you, panelists. Thank you, everyone. Again, to Jordan, Dr. Ferris, and Kirby, we appreciate you being a part of the Prairie View family and community. By participating, you're already connected to us. And I can't leave the call without saying there are amazing things happening here at Prairie View and at our HBCUs here in Texas. And as you go back to your organizations, I encourage you to also share and spread the word about what's being done here, and encouraging others to also invest in our students, as they are going to be the next leaders and the people to solve these issues and challenges. So again, we thank you. Stay safe, everyone, and definitely enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday and season. Students, good luck to you. And again, that's it for us. Take care.
Thank you, Dr. Gatewood and the panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you guys have flyers about your different programs, if you could get those to Dr. Gatewood, we'd like to flood our social media this week and get more people involved in this, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great job.